Jurassic Park. Now playing the theater.
Ecto goggles with Ecto Bomber, neutron blaster, and water zapper, each sold separately.
From the corner penthouse of Spook Central all the way to Star Killer Base, this is Yes Have Some Podcast.
You like? Yes, have some. Yes, have some.
You know, they told me you people were conceited douchebags.
The only place in the multiverse where you can love the book, hate the movie, but still buy all the toys.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for a Jedi Master.
What?
Please remember to hold on to your butts and get ready to get stressed. With your hosts, Craig Goldberg, Abigail Gardner, and Jacob Walsh.
All right, what episode is this?
163.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode apparently 163 of Yes Have Some Podcast.
Apparently.
Why'd you say it like that?
What?
Apparently.
Because he's got attitude.
I have attitude today.
What's wrong? What's going on?
I'm trying some new. I'm trying like a new gimmick.
Oh,
okay.
Maybe a heel.
Yeah, I feel like my old gimmick's stale. Like I'm sick of being
Hollywood Craig Goldberg.
Yeah, I'm Hollywood Craig Goldberg now. I used to be the All-American hero. I'd get on the podcast every week and be like, well, let me tell you something, Abigail Gardner. When you're messing with me, you're messing with the 14-inch, 12-inch pythons.
Okay.
What's a python? Is that an arm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You ever notice how Hulk Hogan says his name? He says Hulk Hogan.
It's a metaphor.
He says like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, like that.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Like it's H-U-L Kogan with a K.
Yeah.
Like Toy Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Hulk
Toy
Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. Toy Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan is going to be my wrestling name.
Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. When Hulk Hogan it's kind of like that. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
H-A-U-L-K-O-G-A-N.
Do you guys remember we reviewed we did like a State of the Ghostbusters franchise, but like the first 10 minutes we were just doing Macho Man impressions?
Yeah, very well.
I remember that. It was good.
Classic episode.
I liked it.
Should we do it again?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'll just do my
I got
Zoya.
a cough going on. I think
Jake's
I'll probably...
We're
Dude,
falling apart.
Actually, I'm not going to do an impression.
Okay, it's fine.
Be problematic.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. This fucking toy room is giving me a nightmare.
Y'all should have been here this afternoon.
Y'all should have been here.
Y'all should have been here. It was all falling down. I'll tell you what. Craig was in here. It was a cacophony. Why don't you tell him, Craig? It was mostly your Maddie figures.
So we're getting ready for PKE Surge, and we've got all these donations coming in from various companies. We do a lot of giveaways at DragonCon PKE Surge. So we've got tons of like Funko Pops and I don't know, Pez dispensers from Funko, a lot of Funko stuff. But there's also like 5 huge stacks of comics from IDW, Ghostbusters comics. And I was trying to just get organized and like consolidating some boxes and just kind of cleaning. And at one point I had a stack of about 100 comics. And I kind of not so gently slammed them onto the ground. I didn't slam them.
Oh, I didn't know what it was.
It wasn't a body slam.
It was a loud enough slam to where I looked in towards the toy room and had to ask if you were okay. It was loud.
Oh.
But immediately once it hit the ground, you heard from all of the... Look, I didn't even look. Look at the Turtles figures right there. I didn't even see it.
Dude.
They're all falling
First
over.
of all, Michelangelo is upside down and everybody else is leaning up against the window like they're on their little tippy toes. Yeah, that's what happens when you drop something of like, that's a heavy object and then, yeah, you hear everything ripple out and fall in every detail.
What if I was like wrestling the IDW comics? Like what if you walked in and like I had just slammed them down and I was about to give them that Hulk Hogan leg drop?
Yeah.
Like I was just leg dropping the comics.
Well, I think that the comics could take you.
Okay, there you go.
We've got a lot of comics.
It sounds like they did already.
They did. So here's the situation. We are getting ready for DragonCon. We are getting ready for PKE Surge. A little bit later on tonight, we're going to be talking to Gary Mitchell and Joe Crowe. We had them on the podcast last year. They run the American Sci-Fi Classics Track at DragonCon. Always cool catching up with those guys, seeing what they've got planned for DragonCon this year. I know one thing they've got planned.
Okay, tell me.
Well, I don't know if anybody's heard. Yes, have some podcast live at DragonCon. 1 o'clock, Saturday DragonCon, after the parade. You finish up, you do your Ghostbusters thing, you head over to the Marriott, come down to M103, I believe is the room, and we're going to be doing a little Yes Have Some live. I am very excited. We're going to be stressing about Ghostbusters 3. Maybe that's it. Like, I feel like once that Ghostbusters stress starts, I don't know. What do you think, Ab?
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's going to start and it probably won't stop. I had the idea today to for us to do our stress and then to turn the mic over to the audience for audience stress.
Yeah, I want to know what
Give
the
it
audience,
back to the people.
What are the people stressed about?
I feel like that could take up the entire hour.
I feel like
We finally have our first live show, and we just let the audience talk the whole time.
yeah. Because that's Abby and I were talking about it today. That's what the audience ultimately wants, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like they want to have a voice. It's like I've talked about when I go to a concert and I hope the drummer breaks his arm and they go, is there a drummer who can fill in? I also feel that any play I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I hope this guy playing Hamlet fucking bites the dust so I can get in there.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah. Or if I go to a panel and like, I'm like, God, I hope that moderator gets sick so I can interview Ric Flair right now.
Or when you go to the Universal Studios tour and you're like, God, I hope that guy who's running the tour gets sick so I can get in the front
I
seat
hope
of
the
bus.
tram driver just fucking bites the dust. And it's like, well, the show must go on. Does anybody know how this tour? And I'm like, and I sit in the front and I go, here we go. Off to Amity Island. Shouldn't be any trouble here, folks. As a matter of fact, whoa, what's that? We can't see it. Didn't even see it.
Didn't even see it. This sucks.
Hey, Jake, did you know there's another part to that video that's been discovered?
There's a what?
The video, you say something before you say didn't even see it.
Give the backstory.
The video being us at Universal Studios Hollywood watching, going past the Jaws portion and Jake sitting in the middle seat and not seeing the big moment with the shark. But before you say, I didn't even see it, you hear, you go, this sucks. And then Craig was like, what, man? Did you see it? And you go, I didn't even see it.
Please, I want to see that. I want to see this video. Please send it to me.
That would be a good a YHS shirt.
Yeah.
The front says "This sucks" and the back says "I didn't even see it."
I didn't even see it.
Yes, and it's just like the tiny tip of the shark fin, like just the lip tiniest coming out of the water.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Jake, you excited about our YHS live at DragonCon?
I mean, I'm a little stressed out about it because we haven't had any like actual talks about it as far as like what we're gonna be talking about and all of that.
That's not true. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's very true. So it's kind of stressful because it's coming up pretty soon.
Guys,
and
we've already killed like 10 minutes with no plan tonight. I think we're gonna be fine.
Dude, if we do it like we just do the podcast, then yeah, we'll be fine. But there will be a room full of people.
But we won't because we're going to be in front of people staring at us.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
Well,
Jake, you should just yell, "I'm scared" in the middle.
I'm scared. I'm gonna quit.
So Jake, what we haven't talked to you much today. What do you got going on in your life?
Just like in my life in general?
I don't know. I feel like you're probably doing something other than podcasting. 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
No, this is it. I go to sleep for a week and I wake up. No, I'm going to tomorrow morning. I'm heading down to Jacksonville for the. Actually, I'm heading down to St. Augustine for the Jacksonville Tattoo Convention. Makes no sense. I do that every year, and it's kind of weird this year. They moved it. Usually, I'll go to the convention. I'll come back on Monday, and then that Wednesday I usually head up for DragonCon. But this year, I got a week in between, so it's like I'll have a tiny bit of downtime in between, and that's fine.
Well, that'll be good. So, let's say a listener is going to be in the St. Augustine area, and they wanted to get that sweet Jacob Walsh tattoo. Assuming you have appointments available, what would they do? What would I do? Let's say I wanted to get a tattoo from you this weekend.
Well, I don't have any appointments available. I am booked already. But you can go to the golf resort in St. Augustine, the one that's right by the Caddy Shack restaurant.
Okay, cool.
That's where it is. You can just buy a ticket. I don't know how much it costs to get in, but you can buy a day ticket or you can buy a weekend pass, and then you go in there, and I'll be tattooing in there.
Very cool. And if somebody wanted to follow you in your artwork, I'm throwing an alley-oop here, and Jake's like, I'm not catching that fucking ball.
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get you to tell me what your Instagram is for the people, so we can follow
my work Instagram. It's Jacob Walsh Tattoos.
There it is.
You can follow it, see my work, get a hold of me, whatever. We'll do some tattoos.
Yeah,
we'll do some stuff. Hey, also,
sick tats.
Breaking news about St. Augustine that Abby wanted to fill us in about.
Chance the Snapper, my favorite alligator that was originally from Chicago, which I just found they have Chance the Snapper sweatshirts and pullovers that are adorable. I really want to go down there, Jake, and get an interview with him. Or at least he's at
the St. Augustine Alligator Farm, which is a place that I visit.
And as a huge fan of Chance the Rapper, this is kind of the closest thing I can get to meeting him and being close.
Right,
so
right.
yeah, that's
You
kind
could
of cool.
just name like one of the feral cats in our neighborhood, Chance the Snapper, and that would also be like meeting him.
Yeah, but this alligator was like in Chicago, so like he's got credit and he's kind of cool.
He's got
street cred.
He's got credit.
How did they get him to Florida? Does anybody know?
It looks like he was
They probably flew him.
They put him on one of those fish things. Have you guys seen that this week?
No.
There's like oh God, you just got to watch the video. But there's this dam somewhere, and all these fish like migrate.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the dam, like they die because they can't get across this dam. So these engineers built this elaborate. Imagine the tube you put the thing in at the bank.
Yeah.
I
was obsessed with that as a
It's
child.
like that, but it's like hundreds and hundreds of feet that goes across this dam, and they pick up the fish manually and put them in this tube, and it shoots them over the dam, and they come out the other end.
Whoa.
It looks like the most fun I've ever had.
I'd love to do that. They should put that in at Whitewater. I would go.
They should
They should put a dam in, and then they should put a bank tube for humans over top of it.
See, these are the ideas that get the people going. Okay, so listen. Before we move on, we are going to be talking about Dragon Con tonight. And like I said, we've got Gary and Joe coming up a little bit later. We wanted to go ahead and let everybody know about Patreon. So if you are not yet a supporter of Yes Have Some on Patreon, please, please, please consider taking a few moments, heading over to patreon.com/yeshavesome and joining the Patreon community. We're doing 2 to 3 bonus episodes a month. We cover lots of ground that we don't cover on the podcast. And for $5 down, you get complete access to our archive. We've been doing it over a year now. There's like 30, 35 bonus episodes already on the feed. And then, of course, we've got new ones every month. I have a feeling we're going to have some late night, like 3 a.m. Dragon Con bonus content. And it gets weird.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we write songs.
Dude, yeah.
That's
We're
where-
going to drop an album on Patreon, I think.
So something's going to happen.
So I've been trying to.
So listen, if we really love the support, it helps us out a lot. We love building out that community. We really appreciate everybody joining up. So if you haven't yet and you're interested, head over to patreon.com/yeshavesome and sign up. It's pretty easy, and you immediately get access to all of those bonus episodes. Jake, are you enjoying the bonus content for Yes Have Some?
I am. I'm kind of sad we haven't done one in a couple weeks. They're fun.
Yeah, they are fun. We'll have one next week and then the week after that. And I don't know, man. I'm feeling.
I think the week after that is Dragon Con.
Well, that's
I don't
what
think
I'm
we're going to
saying.
have any kind of episode that week.
Okay, sign up for Patreon. There will be no bonus content this month.
Yeah.
That's a good sell.
Just give us the $5
Well,
anyway.
I mean, next week we're recording, but the week after next week we will literally be at Dragon Con.
That's what I'm saying. We might have the opportunity to do an on-site bonus episode.
That's true. That's possible.
Dude, we could film our panel.
Well, we're going to have audio of our panel.
Oh, we are?
I don't know. Here's the thing. Let me get the opinion. So every podcast does it different with their live shows. Some podcasts put them on the feed, but some podcasts say the live show's its own thing.
Oh.
You got to be there to experience it.
Okay.
I'm torn. Maybe it'll be a Patreon exclusive.
we should record it and then see if it's good. We'll put it out there. If it sucks, then it's a Patreon exclusive.
I personally like that we waited to discuss this on our podcast.
Yes.
To have our meeting.
The only time we have the ability to actually discuss the behind the scenes stuff on the podcast is while recording. Okay. Well, since we're doing that, Jake had a couple issues with some of the stuff you said on last week's episode. I just want to give you my list. No, it's going to be good. So sign up for Patreon. And lastly, last little housekeeping thing here. The YHS Universal Studios inspired enamel pins are in. They are packed up. They are ready to go. They are going out starting tomorrow. They look good.
Oh, yeah. They're cute.
They're really cute. We sold out of our pre-sale. We will have a very limited amount available. We will be posting that probably sometime next week. So if you missed out, you might have a chance, but we really don't have...
It's super limited.
Limited. We only did a run of 50 and some were allocated for a couple giveaways, and then we sold a bunch and we only have a few left. And plus, I need one. Jake, you need one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to not get a pin.
Yeah. It's for our records. Yeah.
Jake's taking one. Jake, what if you took the whole bag of pins and just fucking...
Just take them all.
Quit and left town. That would be cool.
This whole time, that's just what I want. I just like stole the 50
That's all you
pins.
wanted. Jake
I
works for
live off
pins.
of the money for selling them.
That's like our behind the music, but things took a tragic turn for Yes Have Some. It goes to black and white, cuts to Jake. He goes, I just value pins more than friendship. That's just who I am. But really, I'm excited about getting those pins out. And I'm very excited about Dragon Con 2019.
Yeah.
Abby.
Yes.
You gotta fill Jake in, and well, the listeners as well.
Okay.
On your con suite situation.
Oh, well, first of all, you have to hand me, where's the mailer, like the update?
It's not in here.
Oh, okay. Dragon Con sends out the progress report. I was looking through that like right before we started recording, and on the second to last page, there is like, it's a page of just information about Dragon Con in general, like locations for things that you might need while you're there. And there's an entire paragraph detailing where the con suite is on the second floor of the Hyatt. And I wrote an entire thing last summer before Dragon Con about it was like a 10-part blog series about Dragon Con. One of those blog posts was about the con suite and how like mythical and elusive it is and shrouded in mystery. And I wouldn't like give out details about where you could find it in that piece that I wrote. But of course, all the details are listed in your updated program if you get that in the mail. So there's no
They
mystery.
sent out like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, literally. Everybody knows.
Surely that's in there every year, though, right?
I imagine. I just probably never saw it. But I love that I was like spinning the tale that it's like no one can find it. But you know what? You can.
Nobody knows where the con suite lies.
Here's the thing. Maybe nobody reads the program.
15 paces to the left.
Here's the thing. If you see it, CONSUITE, it doesn't even look like a word. Like if I was just reading it, I'd be like, that's
not English.
something else I don't need to read.
I don't know what that is.
Well, Abby, for the people who don't know what the con suite is, what is it?
Well, first time I think you and I discovered it, it was Dragon Con where we were kind of broke and hungry.
That's every Dragon
Just
Con.
every Dragon Con, even though we're like, we're going to do it this year.
I'm going to spend $5,000 in the art room this year.
It's a little spot
could.
like, dude,
We might.
This year, there's a chance. Con Suite, for those of you who are on a budget, it is the second floor of the Hyatt. Like when you are, there's a little like coffee stand, and then there's like a walkway that connects the
Stairwell.
stairwell. Yeah, you go up the stairwell. You will see probably a small formation of people going into a room, and all you do is get in that line. And once you get into the room, you'll see like a fountain machine for sodas. Mountain Dew Code Red is like almost always available, and you get a little cup of ice. And then there's all these weird treats available 24/7, snacks, refreshments. Sometimes it's like a hearty meal. Sometimes it's a half a sandwich. Sometimes it's just a fortune cookie and a piece of candy and some popcorn and some coffee, which is sometimes all you need at like 2 a.m. So I recommend people go up there. It's also, you can kind of sit and hang out once you go through the line of food. There's like tables for people to sit and, play cards. They usually have TV on. And
I'm not a big drinker, but I do specifically remember one year having a couple drinks, being by myself and sitting down with a bowl of popcorn in the con suite with a bunch of strangers and watching Cabin in the Woods.
It's nice.
It was nice.
It's a nice thing. It's a good
Is that
place
weird?
to meet people.
It's weird because I have no idea where Abby was.
It is. It's a little weird.
Here's what's weird. No, if you can't go back to your room for some reason and like you wanted to go relax for whatever reason that is, go to the con suite.
That'll be for Patreon. Dragon Con gets weird.
I've been in the con suite a few times only with you guys, and the word relaxed has never come to mind.
It is kind of like the fourth floor of the potty building from Parks and Recreation. It's weird, which is why I like it. There's almost always a vomit stain, and someone's usually belligerent.
A little sketch.
It's so great. I fucking love it. It's like the weirdest gas station you'll ever go to. But everything's free. And I think I fell in love with it that first time I went in because I needed it so bad because I was very hungry and I was like really grateful for the tortilla chips and soup that I got there.
By the way, I specifically remember being very annoyed. No, not annoyed. What's the thing when you do I was annoying.
Yeah.
The other people. I was sitting there and Cabin in the Woods was on and like, it was like 10 minutes in. I sat down. I was like, oh, I love this movie. This is good. I turned to the guy next to me. I was like, this is a good movie. Have you seen this? Oh, you're going to like this. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm the guy going, isn't this good? Like, this is better than it even should be. Yeah. Then I'm like, Craig, shut the fuck up.
You did that last night in the middle of Iron Man 2 when, what's his name was making his... Yeah, I watched Iron Man 2 for the first time, like over the last 2 nights, which I have mixed feelings about it.
The 2-part special event.
2-part series. No, but what's his name? What's the guy that, Sam Rockwell, who was just recently in Atlanta and is still in Atlanta filming. You were like, once he was doing his speech, you were just like, isn't he good? Isn't this good? And I just was like, shut up. It is good, but stop telling me it is.
But people forget about Sam Rockwell's great.
Yeah.
And I feel like he should be in even more movies than he is.
Yeah, he's great. He's fantastic. But when you're watching a movie, respect the movie.
Okay. Well, anyway, so
this is an ongoing
I like how
issue.
Abby turned this into a PSA for not talking during movies.
Dude, we could do a whole series on that. Oh, it's important. Movies are important.
What if I open up the Dragon Con panel with, hey guys, we're going to have some podcasts. Here's a question.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, okay, serious survey time, like Scott Hall would be like, who here likes Cruise Shadows?
Everyone.
There's the door.
Y'all better go line up. No.
We can't do that. Okay.
No, we love everyone.
So, Abby, you jotted down a bunch of like kind of thought-provoking questions concerning Dragon Con. Some of the stuff we may have covered briefly before, but we can go into a little bit more detail about it. I feel like everybody finds Dragon Con in a different way. So, Jake, I'll throw to you first. How did Dragon Con come into your life?
I started hanging out with a friend. You guys know her, Molly Coffey of Zombie Cat Productions. Yep. I met her, and me and her and her sister, and we had like a good little group of friends. We all became like really good friends really quickly, and she was going to Dragon Con every year. So when it got close to it, she was like, hey, do you ever go to this? And I had no idea what it was. I was like, what? I had never been to any kind of convention or anything, had no clue what she was talking about. She was like, I go to this every year. You should come. It'd be really fun. So like a group of us went, and I remember not knowing like how much money to bring. I didn't know anything. It was over. I can't remember what the first year I went to Dragon Con was, but I've been going for, I don't know, 13 years at this point, something like 13, 14 years or something. And I didn't have any costumes back then. I didn't do any of that stuff. And I remember being there, and I remember that was when I saw a group of Ghostbusters and being like, I was like, you can make proton pack? I was like, where do you get proton packs from? I remember that was when I was like, where the fuck? How? And like, that was it. I have been every year since. I have not, like, since my first year, I have not missed a year.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That's not that dissimilar from the way that Craig and I felt when we first saw Ghostbusters Proton Packs and everybody like assembling for the parade.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa.
It's pretty mind-blowing. Especially like, what, in 2008 or 2009?
Yeah. I think that was kind of before the cosplay bubble.
Yeah. It was before it was very mainstream.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you came in with an actual
Big Bang Theory.
thought I was going to make a joke.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, and it wasn't even funny.
It?
I don't remember. I was going to say something like, it was 2009, right before Ghostbusters 3 came out.
Oh. It's cool. Cosplay bubble. But yeah, if we're all going over that, I think 2008 would have been, I didn't go 2008. I think that was maybe your first year.
Yeah, so my first year, so my Dragon Con history, I remember like my senior year of high school, during Dragon Con, there was like an article about it in the newspaper. And I remember just seeing like, it was like a picture of a couple stormtroopers in front of a hotel, like one of the hotels. Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking like, oh, that looks really, that's not for me. That looks fun, but this is something that I can't go to. Mm-hmm. Like, it just seems kind of like, when you see the real costumes and stuff, it's kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
And I think it was also a little bit before Dragon Con became very big, like almost like I think Dragon Con was like a 10 or 15,000 person convention for years. Mm-hmm. And then there was that one year where it was like, whoa, 50,000 people showed up. And the next year was like 70,000 people showed up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 2008 was my first year. I went on a Saturday. I went for one day. I was one of the, I don't want to say one of those people. A lot of people go for 1 day. But like, I that was my like, I'll never forget. I had the choice of either going to see Crispin Glover, and I think I've told this story on the podcast before, so let's tell. Crispin Glover was doing a reading, or I could go to see Dragon Con. I had just gone through a breakup. I was feeling bad about myself, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Dragon Con and like see what the world has to offer.
It's a good place to go if you're like
I
going
was
through that, or if you're single.
So lame. Yeah. I guarantee I was being so lame. I was like, dude, I'm going to meet someone tonight, and I didn't. I went there by myself and I left by myself, as a good man should. I went to the Star Wars dance party. Mm-hmm. I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, it was one of those things in my memories. I was like, oh my God, that was like a rave. That was insane. And then I saw some pictures afterwards. It was like me kind of by myself. Like the room was pretty well lit. Like in my mind, again, not a big drinker. It takes me like one beer and all of a sudden I think I'm got the beginning of Matrix Revolutions or the first Matrix. But it wasn't as crazy as my mind remembered. But I remember I remember going to a panel for the first time. I went to the Mickey Dolenz panel, the drummer from the Monkees.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, big Monkees fan. This is great. This is crossing all levels of pop culture for me. But I remember going to the, I think the thing that stuck with me the most was going into like the Walk of Fame area for the first time. And Jake, I was like you, I didn't know anything about conventions. I knew there'd be celebrities there, but I didn't know you could like be near them kind of thing. Like I didn't.
Yeah. Like it's weird. It's when you go to Dragon Con for the first time and you walk in that like the room and there's just like, oh, okay, well they're just sitting here. Like it's like weird. It takes a while to get used to that.
God, I remember I talked to Adam West and, but I was like the guy who's like, does not realize that it's not really kosher to go approach someone and talk to them at their table, but not
pay them any money
for an autograph. And I was like, shook his hand. I'm like, oh man, I'm such a big fan of Batman. I think the stuff you do on Family Guy is incredible. I really just love your work. And he's like, oh, thank you, son. And I was like, all right, bye. Okay. And I walked away.
See you later.
And that's what you call a verbal tip.
Yeah. But I was like, my Dragon Con experience was great. And I said I was going to make it up to Adam West someday by getting an autograph, and I never did. And unfortunately, he passed away, but that's okay. It's not okay that he passed away, but it is okay if you don't know all the protocol. Because there is like...
Yeah. You kind of pick up, like you have to lurk a little bit and like figure out how that goes. I personally remember being overwhelmed the first time I went into the Walk of Fame, and my first year was 2009, I think. And I saw the cast of Battlestar Galactica like all assembled, and we had just finished finishing that show on a laptop in our hotel room, like before going down. So we were like very fresh and very into the show. So when we saw them, I completely freaked out and had to run outside and like smoke a cigarette and chill out.
We were all way different.
Dude,
back then.
exactly. I was like, oh my God, I can't handle Shamey Bamber. It was so intense. But yeah.
But that's the equivalent of like, Jake, have you ever done this with Dragon Con? Like, there's certain like shows and fandoms that are very big at Dragon Con, like Battlestar Galactica or whatever. Like, we started watching Battlestar because it was like, oh, Dragon Con's coming up. We better get into a show that's popular there. It was like learning. It was like learning all the lyrics
and wearing the band T-shirt that you purchased at the concert during the show.
Yeah. It was like, oh, I've never heard of this band, but I'm going to the concert. I better learn all the songs and act like a real fan. But I ended up really liking Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
I tried to do that recently with Abigail for that show Winona Earp. Have you heard of this show?
I heard of it.
It is fucking awful.
I didn't like it.
We watched it for 10 minutes, and I was like, people like this? What a travesty.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I remember one year not knowing what Firefly was, and it was like a year that almost the entire cast of Firefly was there, and the lines were crazy long. And I remember waiting in a line for a while and then finding out like, oh, this is a line just for the Firefly people. If you're just going in, you can just skip this line. And I remember being like, I'm glad I don't fucking know what Firefly is or care. And then like afterwards, I did watch Firefly, and it is very good. I still wouldn't have waited in that line, but it's like weird how stuff like that happens. You know, I'm like, I don't know what this is at all.
Jake, you're not really... I don't know if we've ever really talked about this. You're not really a panel person too much, unless it's something you really, really care about.
I used to go to more panels. Like when I first started going to Dragon Con, like my first few years at Dragon Con, I was like, that's what you do. You go to panels. So I would look and I would go to panels all day long. Like the first few years there were also, when I first started going to Dragon Con, the guests have very drastically changed. Like, you know, one of my first years, Christopher Lloyd was there. Robert Englund was there, which he's back this year. But there were a lot of guests that are in a lot of my favorite movies the first couple of years. George Romero was at Dragon Con. Whoa. You know, like he was a big deal.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought you were going to say George Lucas. I was like, no, George he wasn't.
Lucas. No, he wasn't. So my first few years, I would do panels all day. I would check out all the guests that I liked, and I would make a fucking schedule and just go to panels. And then I don't know, maybe a few years in, when I started actually doing the Ghostbuster stuff and becoming friends with other people who were like, you know, when I first started going, it was like me and two other people I knew. I didn't know anybody. It was just like I go to panels, mind my own fucking business, go to the dealer room, and that's all I was there to do, you know? And then I started doing the Ghostbusters things. I started making friends. I met everybody, and then I'm like, I don't give a shit about the panels anymore. Like those kind of guests. It's been a very long time since a guest has been at Dragon Con that I've been like super excited for. Mm-hmm. So there's not a whole lot of panels that I'm like, I need to go see this.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing is a lot of the panels at Dragon Con tend to be more like fan discussions and like kind of fan oriented, which can be very fun. Like I remember we used to go to the Lost panel like a couple years in a row. That was when like Lost had just ended, but like the kind of fever was still there and people were still very adamant to talk about it and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like being on like a forum basically, like live, because it was just all of us, fan theories and wanting it to.
And it was kind of like pre-podcast too, where it's like, you know. By the way, panels are great. Go to our panel.
Yeah, dude. I miss the panels.
The first couple of years, I used to go to the Miss Klingon beauty pageant.
Oh, that's fun.
I like that.
Because it is I think they've changed it, and now it's not, it used to be like exclusively Klingon, but I think now it's just like Star Trek in general. Mm-hmm. But it's so silly and so fun.
I want to go to that.
Everybody was in Klingon costumes, and they would kind of had their own characters and gimmicks, and it was just I remember going and just being like, this is the funniest thing I've ever gone to. I also went to the Puppet Slam a couple years in a row, and that is very fun.
I've seen some of that.
Yeah.
There's good stuff. There's good stuff. And like, I was trying to think, Abby, is there a panel that you like? What's your favorite panel that you've ever been to?
That
Dragon Con.
Probably in retrospect, the one I enjoyed most was the Venture Brothers panels. I've been
It's
to
not
several.
the Jurassic Park panel?
Oh, so believe it or not, it wasn't the one that I walked out of and then cried and got lost for like an hour and a half. No, it was. I loved the show Venture Brothers on Adult Swim, and that was like literally. If we're going back to the original question that you like were talking about, when did we start going to Dragon Con? When we first hear about it, Venture Brothers was the show that I was really into. That kind of brought me into the fold of being interested in cosplay because I wanted to do the one character Molotov Cocktease, which I thought she was super cool. And I remember researching that and then being like, oh, there's a whole world of people who put these costumes together. Oh, these guys, Doc Hammer and Jackson Public, who created the show, which by the way, I was listening to the like commentary version of like the first, second season, like over and over again every night. Cause they were like, they felt like my friends. And so when I got to go to the panel and listen to them like talk and be very entertaining, like they like to do and interact with the audience, it was really fun. I got like a rose from Jackson Public. I was able to ask a question, and I think it was filmed, like part of that, that panel was online somewhere. So yeah, that for me was an experience that I'm looking forward to being on a panel this year as our group and kind of being on the other side of things. Cause it is really fun to go and be a part of something that you love and see it happen live.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about Venture Brothers, but those panels were a lot of fun. I remember one year it was like they were giving out Blu-rays. I remember they like threw out a Blu-ray and I caught the season 3 Blu-ray of the Venture Brothers. And I remember we did not have a Blu-ray player at the time. And I remember being like, whoa. I'm getting a Blu-ray player. Like I'm getting one.
That was the real gift.
I was like, dude, in my head, you know when you don't have something but you kind of daydream about it. Like the rest of Dragon Con, I was just like, man, what if I got like a PS3 with Blu-ray capabilities, and I just had like I had this Blu-ray next to it, and people would be like, oh, what is that? I'd be like, oh, that's just my Blu-ray player and my season 3 Blu-ray of Venture Brothers. Oh, you don't have that?
Oh, you don't have that?
Anyways, I love giveaways too. Maybe we'll do some giveaways at the panel, huh?
Yeah.
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 All right, cool. Jake, do you have a favorite panel or not really?
I don't think so. I remember I used to go to one of my favorite TV shows of all time is it's called Dead Like Me, and it's by the guy who Brian Fuller. He also did he's done 3 or 4 TV shows that I really loved all of them, but they all got canceled really early. They all only have like 1 or 2 seasons. Pushing Daisies, Wonder Falls, but then he's the guy who made Hannibal, which is very popular, but also got canceled after like 2 seasons. But anyway, the main character of Dead Like Me was at Dragon Con a couple of years in a row, and I remember going to that panel, and I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it my favorite, but I just thought it was like it's a weird show to begin with. It didn't last long. I remember being like, why is there anybody from this show here? Yeah, that's a weird answer to your question.
But it's special to you.
I love that. I said,
special,
what's
yeah.
your favorite panel? And it ended with, why is anybody from this show here? I'm taking my guess, have some pins, and I'm leaving.
It's just a weird show.
And I'm hitting the road.
Okay. Cool. Anyways, cool. So, sorry, we just had a little technical difficulty.
I keep running over a cord with my chair, so...
Don't do that.
You know, I move.
Just don't do
I'm a
it.
mobile podcaster. I need a Garth Brooks microphone so that I can move all around the room.
What the fuck is a Garth Brooks
No,
microphone?
it's like a headset. It's like what they wear at Old Navy.
It's like what they wear at Wendy's when you give them your order.
Yeah. Or a Garth Brooks.
By the way, just to let you know, like, I am 100% hot gluing something right now for Dragon Con. I'm like sitting here podcasting and hot gluing a fucking costume piece together.
Hey, you know what? That's tight.
Dude,
I like it.
I respect it.
That's something. I feel like it's like when you're on the phone, but you're also like, I don't know, doing something else, doing a crossword puzzle. Is that something people do?
Yeah.
Do you guys like crossword puzzles?
People do things while
Should we
they're on
start
the
a crossword puzzle podcast?
Sure.
Should.
I made one once.
Okay. So Jake, I like that you talked about like not knowing like what Dragon Con was. When you first went though, like what were you like immediately? Because I know like to give you context, when I left after that first day, I said, I will never not go to Dragon Con. This is the greatest thing in the world. These people everybody's really nice, which is not normal for like society to be around like giant crowds. And it's like, well, everybody's actually very nice here. I felt very welcome. I felt like I'd found my people. Did you feel like that?
I remember being pretty overwhelmed, but I remember just being like, you know, it's almost like you take it for granted now. But when you think about how there's like it's like the biggest dealer room ever. There's two separate art rooms. There is just like, there's so much happening. There are bands. I used to go to the like the Rocky Horror thing at night. I used to go to one of the concerts I just like used to go to so much more stuff. And I remember the first year I went, I remember asking Molly, like, how much money should I be bringing to this? Cause I remember at the time, I don't even know if I was like working or if I was like working a stupid job. And she was like, what are you laughing at right now?
It's such a funny, the way you say, cause like, just the thought of you being like, how much money should I bring? Like you just have this giant pile of money.
No clue.
And you're like, how much of this should I bring?
No, I didn't. No. I didn't have any money, but I was like, how much money do I need to get my mom to give me? Like, I don't know what. I was like, I don't know what to expect, so I didn't know. And I remember she told me, bring $100 a day.
You
and
can
I
do
was like,
Dragon.
okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
You can do Dragon.
And I
done it on,
definitely
like,
did,
20.
but I spent so much money. Like I think I probably spent it all. Like I bought so much stuff in the dealer's room. I remember finding some really cool like Godzilla stuff in my early years at Dragon Con, and I was just like, I don't know what this is, but I have to come back to this every year. Yeah, and I have.
Are you gluing a Godzilla costume piece right now?
Yeah,
I figured. You better post a pic.
Maybe.
Or it didn't happen.
I could post a pic, but nobody would know. It just looks like a piece of garbage, honestly. Like it doesn't look like anything. But
I'm excited for that costume. I think it's obscure and cool.
Jake, did you stay? So people who haven't been to Dragon Con, it takes place in like 5 hotels in downtown Atlanta. So it takes place in the Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt, Westin, and the Sheraton. Maybe. Possibly.
Maybe.
Sometimes.
Respect to the Sheraton. Hope everything's fine.
When is did you, like your first year, where did you stay?
I don't remember exactly which hotel it was in, but we always stayed. They didn't have the system that like we do now where you go ahead and get your room for next year, and we're just in the same, like we the three of us have been in the same hotel for the last, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something.
We've been in that. We're always in the Hilton. Come find us in the Hilton.
Yeah. But when I first started going, they would just get a room like halfway through the year or whatever. It wasn't as crazy as it is now. And some years we would do like a host hotel, and there were a couple years where we were just like a hotel that was pretty close. I remember the first year I wore my Stormtrooper gear. Like that stuff's like kind of uncomfortable and can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. And I remember that year our hotel was like we would walk from the hotel to Dragon Con, but it was also kind of far. And I remember my Stormtrooper costume just basically falling off me on the way back to the hotel.
Dude,
Abby, have you ever had a what is
wardrobe malfunction?
Well, what would have you ever had a costume at Dragon Con that you would say you were hyped on,
problematic?
But, maybe wasn't as successful as you thought? I
mean, yeah, I definitely. If I'm thinking about like costume malfunctions or stressful moments, I know I talked about it once, but when I did like an Aaron Gilbert themed Ghostbusters thing, and you made a big gun, and I got cooler all over the gun, and then the gun became covered in ants right before the parade, and I had to like get a bunch of water bottles.
Where
from
did
all
the ants come from?
Because I set it down on like pine straw.
They were running out of the theater. They just watched
the
Answer the Call.
bathroom, and I said. Stop. I set it down, and it came back, and it was covered in ants. So I had to go track down all the Boy Scouts that were handing out water bottles, get as many as I could, and try to pour the water over to wash the ants off without breaking the gun. That was very stressful. I've mentioned it before also. I did a costume from Brian K. Vaughan's comic book Saga, and there's a character called the Stalk. She is an arachnid that does not have arms, and she is topless and has a huge hoop skirt and a giant wig with a giant ass crown. And I spent a lot of time and money
that seems practical.
Yeah, I was like, oh, easy. I saw the image. I fell in love with it. I was like, this is simple. It looks like me. It was definitely something that I was like taken with, and I was into the character. And I got the costume made. I commissioned it. This lady who used to do like wrestling costumes. I found her on Craigslist, and she helped me out. But the costume, I never did like a full try on before wearing it. And until, I didn't even mention she's full on white. Like she wears like her body's like white. So I had to use body paint.
That was like 2 or 3 hours of applying body paint.
Dude, yes. And then I was in the bathtub for like 3 hours afterwards. I only got to wear the costume for about an hour because it like rendered me very ill. I had a huge migraine from the wig and contacts, but it looked good for the time that I wore it. I guess I learned a little lesson about myself and like my own level of what I'm comfortable in physically. So
let me tell you about my least successful costume ever.
Go for it.
Let's hear it.
It was like Dragon Con crunch time. I couldn't decide on a costume, and I finally decided that I was going to be Carl Spackler, who is Bill Murray from Caddyshack. And I was like, oh, this will be great because it's like
Cinderella
easy.
boy.
I'll just be like, like go to Dragon Con and, kind of like Cinderella boy in the hotel eating pizza. No, none of that happened. I had the pants I found weren't accurate. The hat I found wasn't accurate. And the gray t-shirt looked kind of accurate. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, he's really sweaty. So I'm going to stain the shirt with like oil to look like sweat. And if you ever see a picture of this, I just look like an ill-informed, out-of-place human being who's wearing my normal clothes but is just sweating through my chest. And it just wasn't good. It was just bad. I was like, oh, cool. I'm like Bill Murray from Caddyshack. Because what happened was that was my second year of Dragon Con. The first year of Dragon Con, I was Bill Murray from What About Bob? And at least people like knew what I was. Like I had a goldfish in a jar. I opted to use a real goldfish.
Children loved it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Kids went, oh, Dad, Mom, look at the goldfish.
But hey.
Dad.
That goldfish.
And I was like getting jealous, I remember, because I had a Logan.
I would never do that
Logan's
now
red
because I was like, what a psychopath walking around with a goldfish. But that goldfish did survive Dragon Con and became a good friend of mine for literally days until
Yeah.
It's a goldfish. But anyways,
You know how it goes.
but I tried to replicate that the next year. And it's so weird. Like, I don't know why it just didn't occur to me at that time to just make a flight suit like I did the next year. Like, at least you'll be something. At least people, like, you'll be wearing a ghost, but like, so yeah, my Bill Murray Caddyshack costume did not go over well. Jake, any failed costume attempts?
I mean, it would be that Stormtrooper. I tried to wear it the first year I got it. I didn't do enough work on it and getting it really like in place, and there's so many pieces that it just didn't fit on me right, and it was just uncomfortable and falling off of me the whole time. And I wore it one night and took it off and sold it after that.
To me,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Craig bought it.
But I haven't tried like a whole. Probably this costume I'm working on right now.
Future failures with Jacob Walsh.
I have mainly. Every year I do Ghostbusters, and that's basically it. I started doing Quint maybe 3 years ago. Besides that, I haven't ventured out and done a whole lot of costumes. So
What
That's
about
that's why I'm excited and also like kind of nervous to do this
No,
weird
it's gonna be good. It's
random
gonna be
Yeah,
good.
no, I'm excited.
thing.
No.
What guests are we excited about this year?
Robert
Abigail?
Englund.
Yeah, Robert Englund, Cobra Kai cast, Karate Kid cast.
Yeah, wait, hold on. You can't say you're excited about the Cobra Kai cast and the Karate Kid cast.
Same
Same
cast.
thing. That doesn't
Same
count.
cast.
It's the same people.
No.
Yeah, I'm really excited that Robert Englund's going to be there. I think there's a couple of Nightmare on Elm Street guests, but kind of like you, Jake. Like, there's nobody where it's like, a lot of times we go to conventions specifically for guests and for autographs, but Dragon Con's never really like that for me. Mm-hmm. Usually I find one or two people who I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to meet that person or get a photo op or something. But there's nobody this year where it's like getting that print ready, get my paint pens situated, not like FanFest. Mm-hmm. And there is there's hardly ever any Ghostbusters guests, right?
The last one I remember was Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, and one of my early years, William Atherton was there.
That was before, That
was before the Many Faces of Atherton.
But it was so long. I didn't even try to get an autograph from him at the time. I just remember being like, "Oh, look, there's William Atherton right there."
Ernie Hudson was there in like 2013. That's 6 years ago.
Yeah, he was there a couple years, I think, in a row. But yeah, that's it.
Well, that sucks. I guess we're the Ghostbusters guests.
You getting mad now? You're like getting mad about it?
Not going.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think we could get some guests from the new movie. It's not like they're busy.
God. Oh, wait. The one they're filming
The
right
one they're
now?
filming right now.
I thought you were talking about Answer the Call. I was like, geez. Shots fired.
Oh, no.
It's not like they're...
they're
It's not
busy.
like they're doing anything.
Dude, no, Melissa McCarthy's super busy. Good for her.
I can't imagine what it's like for Finn Wolfhard when he's at a convention.
Holy shit.
Like, what is that scene like?
Dude, he wasn't even at Horror Nights the year that we saw all the It kids. I can't imagine how much more, insane it would have been.
All right, I'm going through Abby's list here. By the way, we're gonna have to wrap up soon because we got this we're almost at an hour.
Whoa.
What is happening?
I don't know.
Abby,
Yeah.
I'm going off your list. It says, let's talk about panic attacks. Any memorable ones?
Whew. Yes. I remember every panic attack. The first panic attack for me was when we were just getting our badges in line. I think it's in the Sheraton, in the ground floor. Just the sheer amount of people and costumes. I had a panic attack when I first walked out of our apartment to get to the MARTA station because I was wearing my costume out in public before I actually got on premises of Dragon Con. So I was one of the only people in a costume.
Not to cut you off,
what
though.
What the fuck?
That was your first costume you ever did.
Yeah,
So that was
Jessica 6 from Logan's Run.
Yeah, talk about that.
I mean, I had my mom sew it for me, and she did a great job, and I remember liking it, but it was my first time wearing a costume to Dragon Con. I wasn't really sure what to expect. If you've only been to, Halloween parties or you don't really know what to compare it to, but once you get in it, you realize, oh, it's kind of like a theme park a little bit because you're in lines and you're moving around, you're on foot all day. So I wasn't really sure. I didn't know what it was going to be. The costume I was wearing was super restrictive and uncomfortable. So, there's kind of that adds to the panic. But then there's always the waiting in lines, going to panels, interacting with celebrities. Like I mentioned, going to the Hall of Fame and seeing the cast of Battlestar Galactica, or just even James Urbaniak, which was, he's the voice of Dr. Venture from Venture Brothers, running into him. You were always at moments like that. I feel pretty cool, and I would always get very overwhelmed and excited.
Because in my head, I think I'm more famous than everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know why that is. That's probably something I need to talk to a therapist about. Even with Adam West, I was like, "Come on, man, just give me a free autograph." Do you really expect me to give you $50 to sign a photo?
Come on, man. I'm just your friend.
That seems a little ridiculous. By the way, did you know there's a whole I'm on this forum called markedout.com, and it's autograph collectors. These guys are hardcore. They negotiate with celebrities at their tables.
To bring the price down?
Yeah, they'll be like, I'll give you 20.
Whoa.
Isn't that weird?
Is that even
the audacity? Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Those aren't. Yeah. Autograph prices are not negotiable.
Dude, that's their
Do you
value
consider
as a person.
Interesting trades.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 2 tickets to the Braves game Monday night. Oh, you don't live here. I don't know, man. Yeah. It's weird. The trying to explain the convention experience and what it's like to like do the autographs and do the photo ops. Explaining it to people who've never done it is always weird because you see a lot of first time people at Dragon Con, like especially in like the Facebook groups and everything. They're always like, what do I do? Where do I go? How will I know what's happening? And Jake, you mentioned it earlier. It is overwhelming your first time. What kind of tip? Let's say there's some YHS listeners right now who are going for the first time. What are some tips that we can give them?
Well, if they're looking for tips, they can go to YHSpodcast.com and then go to our blog and then go to my 10 tips from 10 years of experience of Dragon Con.
Yeah.
And we can run those down if you want. But my first piece of advice would be that you can't be everywhere at once. So wherever you are is where the party is, and having that like mindfulness of it's very busy. It's kind of like a big river that you get dropped into. So kind of go with the flow and recognize that you may not be able to do everything that you were hoping to do because there is so much going on, and enjoy whatever it is that you're surrounded by at that moment is all I'd say.
Wow.
Also bring a backpack and go to the con suite.
Bring a backpack. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. Jake, what is your advice to a first timer?
Advice to a first timer is just like, oh boy.
Don't
just
go.
try not to do too much, like I feel like you need to look at the schedule, download the app. Don't try to be running from like one hotel all the way to the other side. Also, make sure you stop by the mall and get some food. Mm-hmm. I feel like way too many times at Dragon Con, I'll start to get angry or annoyed and then realize it's because I haven't eaten in an entire day or something like that.
Yeah, that seems to be a running theme.
Cliff Bars are important.
Yep. That's part number 5 of my series, snacks. Bring them. So
snacks.
It's really important because the days go by fast. It can be 7:00 at night and you're like, well, I haven't eaten.
Yeah.
And no wonder Jake hates the con suite because Abby's like, oh, dude, you need a snack? I know exactly where to go.
Dude, they've got some venison chili. They've got the fucking weirdest shit. I love it.
Yeah, and also, the food court, they remodeled it, so there could be some new options this year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And also, if Jake and Abigail insist that there is a Moe's and a Willie's, and you are for some reason digging in your feet and being stubborn and saying, no, there's not, you're both fucking idiots, and then you get to the food court and realize that there is both, you will sit there in silence and you will not engage with anybody because you will feel bad for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a quiet lunch. My other piece of advice would be to attend the Yes Have Some Future of Ghostbusters Gremlins and Beyond panel. Saturday at 1:00.
Yeah, so before we get to Gary and Joe, they're going to be coming up next. The panel we're doing is at 1:00 on Saturday. Now, if you're doing the parade, which I'm sure a lot of you are, that is fine. Parade starts at 10. You'll be wrapped up around noon. You get a second to cool off. The photo shoot for the Ghostbusters is going to be before the parade this year, so you have plenty of time to make it over to the Marriott and join the panel. We are going to be talking about Ghostbusters 3. We're going to be talking about the future of Gremlins. Maybe we'll talk a little Bill and Ted. Mm-hmm. And we do want to know, what you guys want to talk about. Yeah. If you bring up stuff we don't know about, we'll either make it up or we'll say, no, we're not talking about that. Mm-hmm. It's under wraps.
Yeah.
Get out.
Someone's be like,
we'll kick you out.
If someone's like, what did you guys think of the last season of Babylon 5? Out!
And then also hang around later that night at 7 p.m. We have our cosplay prom class of 1984 PKE Surge dance.
Oh, yeah.
Which is at the Marriott also.
Are you ready for that?
Oof, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, kind of. I'm still in the process of prepping for it, but I have my outfit.
There you go. Cool. Yeah. Well, cool, everybody. Any final... we're going to be talking about Dragon Con more over the next 2 weeks, obviously, but any final thoughts before we turn it over to our little chat with Gary and Joe?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. Fine.
Let's do it.
All right. Cool. Coming up right...
Jake finishes gluing his headpiece.
Yeah, Jake. Coming up right now, Gary Mitchell and Joe Crowe, who run the American Sci-Fi Classics Track at Dragon Con. They've been doing it for years. Going to catch up with them and see what we've got planned on this special Dragon Con extravaganza episode.
Whoa!
Guys, should I bring back my Carl Spackler costume?
Do it.
Yeah.
I want to see pictures.
They're bad. I'll find. There's like one that exists. It's bad.
I love it.
No, you don't.
Spackler. Every time you say Spackler, I have flashbacks to the Soapbox Derby card that I made in summer camp.
Okay.
It was supposed to be called the Sparkler, and I painted the name on it, and I painted the Spackler because I forgot the R.
I like that.
So there you go. It was the Spackler.
Cool. All right, everybody. We'll turn over to the interview now. Hold, please.
Hold, please. Thank you for calling.
All right, everybody. Joining Yes Have Some podcast now is Gary Mitchell and Joe Crowe. They are the directors of the American Sci-Fi Classics Track at DragonCon. We had them on the podcast last year. We had a ton of fun. We said we got to do this again. And also, since Yes Have Some is having a panel this year provided by... Did they provide it? They provided it. Mm-hmm. I think they did.
Yeah.
We'll talk to them. We'll ask them.
Yeah.
It is a gift.
Thank you.
So, Gary, Joe, welcome to the show. How are we doing?
Fabulous.
Yeah, we are doing quite well. We're only starting to really hit panic mode.
Yeah, so
we're edging close to it as well.
We just did an hour just on stressing out about DragonCon. So so you guys, we kind of covered last year how you guys got involved with the track, but we never really caught up afterwards. So 1 year later, how was DragonCon in 2018? Did you guys have a good time?
Wait, there was a DragonCon in 2018?
There was something.
Yeah.
It was all a blur.
This year actually makes 20 years since the first time I attended DragonCon, and it's all become a blur.
Wow. Congratulations. That's
impressive. That's impressive. We'll have to give you a cake or something.
Yeah,
a 20-year cake? I don't know.
Surely.
Cake. You had me at cake.
Yeah.
That was kind of the thing we were talking about, is that once this is probably all of our 10th, 11th, 12th year, whatever, it all does start running together, and it kind of becomes harder to go, oh, in 2014 this happened, and 2017 that happened. It's all just kind of one thing at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
True. One big, wonderful, blurred memory for sure. Yeah.
So what do you guys got planned? So you said you're going to panic mode. What does that mean? What is the day-to-day panic mode of planning a track at DragonCon like?
Well, a lot of it has passed. We've pushed through it. On the 12-step process, we're up to like 6 or 7 by now.
Okay, so you're not apologizing to anybody yet.
Not
making amends quite yet. Cool.
We don't apologize. It's a sign of weakness.
Oh yeah. But no, we've done most of the planning. Now it's just we're in the execution phase, and well, of course we'll be there once we actually execute at DragonCon. But oh boy.
Yeah. The main thing right now is, like Joe said, we've got the schedule pretty locked down. And now it's we need painter's tape for the wall. We need Velcro. And then the ever present worry that, like what happened this week, they go, oh, by the way, here's 3 more guests. Make room.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you alluding to what I think what Abby referred to the last hour as the cast of Karate Kid and the cast of Cobra Kai are going to be at DragonCon? And I called her out and said, I think those are the same people.
One and the same.
Yes. Them and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, yes.
Nice, yeah.
The 4th member of the Cobra Kai gang. Probably. They filmed in Atlanta.
That's cool.
Jake the Snake. That's cool. So when that happens and you guys have locked in the schedule, you've submitted everything, you have that big sigh of relief, and then they add 4 more guests. What does that feel like?
Luckily, the DragonCon overlords have an extenuating circumstance for their own actions. Like now, if it's something we did, no, you can't add anything to the schedule. But if they add somebody, then sure, so they'll find a spot for and of course, I guess some celebrities don't want to do panels or don't want to do Q&As. They'll just sit at their autograph table. But Most of the big, I really, it's beyond our pay grade. Most of them want to do them. And so we're all in, whatever they want us to do. But what happens is when a big guest that we might have jurisdiction over comes about, lately we don't really get alerts or anything like that. We just get them the same time the regular citizens get them, and then we scramble to come up with a panel for them. So yeah, it's crazy.
I think that you need a sign before the panel room that says "citizens" with an arrow. I like that. I like referring to all the people as citizens.
Me too.
Quiet. It says "quiet citizens" on
yes.
Quiet.
Yeah. So you mentioned Jake the Snake. So will there be a little Q&A with Mr. Roberts that will be in the American Sci-Fi Classics room? Is that what we can surmise?
It's on our track, but it's in one of the big rooms. One of the big,
gotcha.
The big banquet halls, the big dining hall places. But
okay, cool.
But yeah, and they shuffle those around constantly. So like at the moment, who knows where it's going to be? But yes, Jake the Snake is going to be doing a Q&A, and he's one of ours. So awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I'll never forget the one year. I think it was like 3 years ago now. Joe and we had Peter Weller, so we were going to do a Buckaroo Bonsai panel, and we were going to have a Buckaroo Bonsai panel up until about 4 days before convention, and then the overlords tell us, "Oh, by the way, the lady who played the Lady Cop in RoboCop's coming too." It's like, well, this Buckaroo Bonsai panel just became a RoboCop panel.
Yes. I hate when that happens.
Oh, dude, yes.
No, but that's cool. I mean, Peter Weller, that's great. I don't think Peter Weller is going to be there this year. We were kind of talking about, as track. Here's something I've always wondered. You guys run the track. Do you get to put in requests for specific types of guests, or is it just whatever DragonCon throws your way, and then you kind of build the schedule around those guests?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of both. It really is. It's we suggest, we say, hey, wouldn't it be neat if you get somebody like and they ask us, so that's something. We
frequently. Sorry, Joe.
No, go ahead.
I was say frequently early in the process, they will send us hey, here are some people that we think we might be able to get. Who do you want? And we request, and then a good bunch of the time, like the Karate Kid people, it was, hey, they're coming. Here you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Sometimes we've known for months. Sometimes we just found out yesterday.
Yeah, and it's crazy with the Karate Kid folks is that, like, those are big guests in 2019, but like maybe in 2015, 16, that wouldn't have been like. I remember seeing the three of them at like Days of the Dead Atlanta. And not really, they had some people at their table, but it wasn't like, it was before Cobra Kai started.
Right.
But that show's kind of like a revelation. Like, it's one of my favorite shows. So that's really cool that they're going to be there. And I hope to meet them myself.
Yeah, I want to get a photo op for sure. It's like high on my list. I loved Cobra Kai, so I'm 100% in.
Yeah. It's so much better than it should be.
Yeah, I've got to finish it, but... They like you said they were at DragonCon maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Well, no, 2 of them were Daniel-san and I failed as a track director.
That's
Mr.
fine.
Cobra
That's what
Kai. What is his name?
Mr. Cobra Kai.
Cobra?
John Cobra and Daniel-san.
Mr. Kai, yes.
No, yeah. Johnny Lawrence and
we're about to find out.
God, we're all bad. Ralph Macchio, that's his name.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But they were here with C. Thomas Howell, and so we had just an all 80s panel, and that was a blast. So they all are, and Ralph Macchio, and obviously you can see from the Cobra Kai show, Ralph Macchio has not aged.
No,
not at all.
Yeah,
not
it's
at all.
crazy.
Not at all.
he was older than everyone else. I guess he still. I said he was older than them a few years ago, but I guess technically he still is.
I don't know. He may be immune to the ravages of physical time.
Whoa.
Well,
I hope so. That's the rumor.
Yeah, C. Thomas Howell said that when they were doing The Outsiders, he was so many years older, however many it is, than C. Thomas Howell, and now he looks the same. And C. Thomas Howell is completely gray-haired. And he says, "What did you do, Ralph? What did you do?" It was great.
Right.
Yeah. And also Ralph Macchio. People forget about My Cousin Vinny, but that's one of the great comedies of all time.
True.
So that's what I'm going to talk to him about. So cool. So like what other you guys are planning it. You're mapping everything out. What are some of the panels that your present company excluded? Okay. Sorry. What some of the panels are you guys excited about this year?
Oh man. I am excited for our 40th anniversary of Aliens. 40 years of unexpected dinner outbursts.
I love that.
I'm quite proud of that panel title I came up with.
Nice.
I love that.
Very nice.
Yeah, see, look. We go the extra mile on the classic track. You got to dig into the panel descriptions. You got to look at the titles. We're clever folks. Gary, I'm my hand is hurting from patting myself on the back. And so I'm going to also pat you on the back because we are geniuses.
There's a lot of patting going on. Well,
I like your style.
I wish somebody would pat me on the back just once. God, you run a podcast for 3.5 years.
You're back at DragonCon.
Somebody pat me on the damn back.
Yeah.
That's our panel. That's the Yes Have Some panel. It's just going to be me ranting and raving about how I didn't get credit for anything. It's going to be a hit. Expect 5-star reviews. So, okay, wow, 40 years of Alien. That's crazy. That's crazy. But that'll be, I mean, everybody loves Alien. Like, that's like, I don't know. Let's just, Alien's the greatest sci-fi movie of all time, right? Is it even arguable? Arguable?
Yeah.
Can you even argue?
I don't want to argue with you.
Greatest horror movie of all time.
Oh, right. It
Is
does
it?
play.
Yeah,
it's a horror movie,
it's one of those movies that it's not dated at all. Like you can watch it today and you don't see the bell-bottom pants or, the goofy soundtrack. It has none of those things. It's just as good now as it was back then. So the years pass and you don't think of it as being a 40-year-old movie. And yet here we are.
Yeah, there's a couple
kind of untouched by time. Like, I agree.
I kind of feel like Jaws is kind of like that too. Like it just.
Agreed.
And Jake, Alien's better than Jaws, right?
Yeah. What is Jaws?
What is Jaws? That'd be a good panel. Like back to the existential thing.
I'll head that panel.
Yeah.
What is Jaws?
Last Jaws panel, if I remember correctly.
Why is Jaws?
What's
What
that?
is Jaws?
What isn't Jaws?
Whoa.
Yeah.
You do it every year and you get to the how and the why and the when.
Yeah.
That's the easy one.
When is Jaws?
Can we? I want to stop you. Let's just do a panel called "What Isn't Jaws?"
What isn't Jaws?
Throw out
Isn't
names
Jaws?
of things. Amityville Horror?
Not Jaws.
No, that's not
Not
Jaws.
Jaws. Sharknado. Not Jaws.
Not Jaws. Box of sun-kissed raisins. That could be Jaws.
Almost Jaws,
Almost
but not
Jaws.
quite.
Not Jaws.
It goes into Jaws.
Okay, so besides Aliens, I know. So we're celebrating. 2019 is a big anniversary year. 84 and 89 were two huge years for movies in general. Any
big movies in 1989, were there?
No, I don't think anything came out that year. When you look it up, it's like actually mind-boggling, like to see what came out that year.
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite little. I remember being, I was 18 at the time when it came out. I turned 19 that year, but I just remember that summer was amazing because Ghostbusters 2 comes out and sets an opening weekend record. The next weekend, Indiana Jones comes out and breaks that record. And then Star Trek 5 comes out and breaks that record in our hearts. And then Jeff comes out and it was fun. And then Batman comes out and put the power slam on it and went, no, this is how you break a record.
Yeah. When Batman came out, it was like it took Ghostbusters 2 behind the barn and shot it.
Yes.
It killed the franchise for 30 years. But that's okay because Batman.
Look at the
rabbits. Yeah, 89. So if you look at the list, you got Batman, Indiana Jones, Dead Poets Society, Back to the Future 2, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. What'd you say?
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
Throw it out there. It came out in 89. It's one of my favorites.
There you go.
It's a big movie.
So
you got to give respect for kicking off the Disney animation renaissance.
It did.
Yeah.
And it also kicked off, I think Brock Parker was invented that day. If we all know Brock Parker.
He was.
Spiritual birth.
It was a spiritual awakening.
Brock is from my hometown. Well, not my hometown. He's not from Clanton. Nobody is. But he's from Birmingham. And he's just the best. And his wife has, obviously you've seen her Little Mermaid / Ghostbusters mashup costume.
Oh, dude, I have photographed that.
It's pretty incredible.
Amazing. Yeah, the proton pack is really cool. Dude, I love a good custom proton pack, especially when it's mashed up with something that I like the Little Mermaid. So.
Yeah, and technically, if it's a Ghostbusters 2 pack, that's a 1989 mashup.
Dude, it's a 1989 pack mashup.
I want to see a Batman Field of Dreams mashup costume. I don't know what that would look like, but
if you build it, they will come.
Oh, thank you. So will there, now that we've done all that, will there be a little celebration of 1989?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. We've got a gaggle of folks doing a Geek Year 1989 panel. And you guys have 1984 covered.
Oh,
and lots of stuff from 84 is coming back.
It's crazy. It's absolutely. Yeah. People forget that Gremlins and Ghostbusters came out the same day, I believe.
Yeah.
Like,
really? Now, I did not know that.
Yeah, same weekend. Like, here's two touchstones of pop culture happening at the same time. That never happens anymore. That's like if Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey came out on the same day or something.
No, they stay away from each other now.
Right, right.
Like they'll move. If, say, Avengers is coming out, then something will move because of that. But, wow.
Well, you know what's funny is I bet back then they didn't even consider Gremlins and Ghostbusters to even be similar. Like these are two completely different kinds of movies, and it's like they're literally the horror comedies, like seminal horror comedies that appeal to children and adults.
Well, they're defining the genre. So,
yeah. But yeah, 84, you got Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Terminator, tons of stuff.
Nightmare. Things that are being done, or that new things are being done with today.
Yeah, we got a new Terminator coming out. Karate Kid, obviously, we just talked about. Lots of really great stuff. I don't think there's going to be any new police academies anytime soon, but that doesn't mean there shouldn't be.
There really should. Yeah.
I'm down.
I think Police Academy would make a good Netflix series.
Come on.
Come on. 100%. 100%.
Jeez. You gotta give it to the Goot. You gotta give Gutenberg something.
I wonder what Steve Gutenberg's doing this very second. He's probably podcasting.
Let's look it up.
Yeah, he's waiting for that DragonCon invite. This is the year.
Man, if he came to DragonCon.
We had Mike Winslow a few times.
That's very cool.
That was before our time, I think.
He was there in like 2000, 2001.
Man.
Yeah, I saw the panel. He was actually pretty fun.
There's that blur Joe was talking about, and Gary, you just don't even remember half the time. Like earlier, Jake was like, "Oh, Christopher Lloyd was at DragonCon," and I'm like, "What? That happened? That happened?"
You were in the panel.
I know. I forgot the panel.
You asked him a question.
I did. We had dinner. I can't remember any of it.
And in fact, I hosted a panel with Christopher Lloyd. So you were there, Jake? You were there?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I remember that.
We were there. Wow. Cool.
You were there, and you were there.
That was the spiritual birth of Yes Have Some podcast. We were all in that panel.
No, that's not true. For Gary and Joe, we'll probably talk about this. The spiritual birth of Yes Have Some podcast was when the Ghostbusters attraction at Universal Studios closed down. It was replaced by Twister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That spun us into existence.
Spun.
It was the origin of our stress.
I'm waiting for that Twister panel.
Dude, yes.
Why have we
that would be
never
great.
done? Because I've been on that Twister. I got to see the Ghostbusters thing at Universal, which is great.
Right.
So I got to go there, and I've been on the Twister thing, of course, numerous times at Universal, and I've actually experienced a real tornado. So,
oh wow,
I've kind of got everything.
You got it covered.
Yeah.
But now the Twister ride was replaced with Jimmy Fallon, and that I don't know. That just doesn't seem.
I don't
right.
want to go to that panel. I don't care about it.
I don't want to ride Jimmy Fallon.
No, dude, no.
That's what it is.
Not in any way.
You climb on board Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. What was your favorite ride at the theme park? Jimmy Fallon. Like, oh, what kind of?
You know how you get in on those rides? You know, you get in the big giant 12-seat car with the bar and then what if you are Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah.
That would be.
I don't like this conversation.
No, I don't want to experience any
The
of that.
entire ride is you breaking at your own jokes.
Yes. You're just laughing at yourself. Maybe if it was like Johnny Carson or something.
The car vibrates every time you laugh at one of your own jokes.
Oh. Well, if it's just laughing at our own jokes, then I've got everybody covered.
No.
I can't even get my stuff out half the time. I'm just dying.
I'd rather have some experience or a Conan O'Brien experience, but not Jimmy Fallon.
There you go.
Man, a Conan O'Brien experience.
Yeah, dude. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. How did we get down here? Oh, yeah, we were talking about Twister. I'm kind of interested in Joe's tornado experience. That sounds
tell
terrifying.
us more about that. Did like a house get lifted up, or like what was the damage? Was it serious?
No one was hurt.
Okay.
But we were a tornado hit our house. We had just bought the house. It was kind of we're still in it today. That's the happy ending.
Good.
We just bought the house a few months earlier, and it was kind of a fixer-upper. So we had been fixer-upping it for a number of months, and then we moved in over a spring break. And then in April, a big tornado hit and knocked down most of the trees in our yard, and one tree busted into our kitchen. But
wow.
we were in the basement when it happened, and so we were all safe, no big deal. But it was kind of like multiple tornadoes hit our state that day, but it slammed into our kitchen, busted our kitchen all up, and so we got to get a new kitchen in our new house, and we would not have done that as far as the fixer-upping. We were not going to do a new kitchen, but then we decided, hey, let's do a new kitchen. There's a tree in the middle of it now.
Yeah.
There's nothing that'll get you motivated like
Little nudge from the finger of God.
There it is. I like that.
That's what I tell people. If you're ever really, we should have one of those HGTV home makeover shows and say, well, if you really want to fix up this kitchen, just have a tornado hit it.
How about Gary? Any natural disasters have affected you? I think the podcast has taken a weird turn, but we're just going to go with it.
In administration?
Oh, we've crossed the. Yeah, it's bad. We know. We're late in the
Yes.
It's real bad. It's like a tree in your kitchen bad.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
But
I've never really actually had the pleasure of surviving a natural disaster. The closest I've ever been is when I was actually living in Yonkers. I was like 5 when the big blackout hit in 75.
Oh wow!
Oh dang!
Yeah. For where we were, it was kind of boring. Everything just got dark.
Power's out.
It wasn't like the Purge. It didn't like. There weren't like rampaging people in the streets.
No. By the way, I've got an idea for a Purge spinoff called Misdemeanor Purge.
Ooh.
And it's for 24 hours. You can commit misdemeanor. It's just like people jaywalking and, stealing gum. I don't know. We'll see.
That's every day, though.
Yeah. We live in the Misdemeanor Purge.
That's a good idea.
So, we were out in California about those earthquakes hit about a week and a half or 2 weeks after we had left. So we missed out on the earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We missed out on the unique experience of having iPhone video of a chandelier swaying back and forth. And then
you have been on the earthquake ride at Universal.
Yes.
True.
Absolutely.
With Charlton Heston.
So, Jake, you did the original one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like the new version that they still do in Hollywood. It's kind of part of the backlot tour.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
we just did that.
Yeah, they still do it's a good little section of it with the everything catching on fire and the truck, coming in and almost running into you.
Mm-hmm.
We did it twice. It was good.
It was good. It was really good.
I liked the Charlton Heston version when he and the Universal Studios tour guide, the human, they have an awkward conversation. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always just some kid, and it's Charlton Heston on a 20-year-old video who goes, all right, children, now let's go to the next part of the tour about the earthquake. Isn't that right, Universal Studios tour guide?
Why, yes,
I'm going to find that video.
Yeah, me too. I bet it's on YouTube.
We kind of have an obsession with theme parks and theme park rides in general. Mm-hmm. In fact, we've been wanting to get a couple Jaws skippers to talk to them on the show.
Yeah.
That's something we've been working on. And by working on, we haven't worked on it at all.
You mean talk about
We've
it?
talked about it.
To each other.
Thinking about it for a long time.
Speaking of theme parks, I want to put in a cheap plug for something I think you guys might get a kick out of. Some buddies of ours who are also going to be on panels at DragonCon with us they have a company called Theme Park Alchemy, where they make candles inspired by the theme park rides.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, dude.
I like
I'm into
that.
Super neat.
Hey,
It's,
I'm into, yeah.
Do they have
candles.
a Jimmy Fallon?
They should.
What's that one smell like?
Flop sweat is what that
Oh,
smells like.
God.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking
They've got-
at it right now. They've got like a Jaws.
We got a little
collection.
confrontation. It's called Banana Breath. Oh, I love that.
Oh, cute.
Hey, that's a great plug because now we're on the website and now we're like clicking buy it now, buy it
Buy
now.
it now, dude. You can get those Haunted Mansion keys. Let's do it.
So cool. So what else? So we're covering 89. We've got 84. I know there's going to be a Batman 80 years of Batman panel. Is that correct?
Yeah. We're doing we're doing just a Batman 1989 panel, just by itself, because there's so much, and there's so much of other Batman stuff that we're putting it on one of our roller panels, which I think you guys saw last year, or you might not have, but for the last few years we've gotten a custom. One of our fans does custom giant size D20s.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And we're doing a Batman one for a 20 Batman things in one lightning round hour, because we don't have enough room to do all the Batman panels that we want.
Oh, that sounds fun, though.
So we're doing like 80 years of Batman things in 1 hour and the audience rolls the giant D20. And then we auction them off for the Dragon Con charity at the end of the con.
Oh,
That is
right.
very cool. Now, what are some of the more...
Review the way the key component of the roller panel is not just the D20, is the fact we put everybody we can up on stage. We've had upwards of like 20 people because
So
when
you guys are invited. You got to come.
We'll be there.
roll.
Yeah,
We'll be there.
doing it.
because the odds are when we roll that D20 with enough people up there, someone will be able to talk about that topic for at least a minute or two.
And what are some of the more maybe obscure Batman topics that are on the or is it a secret?
It's
We're talking about the Batman 66 Catwomen.
Ooh,
Oh.
Julie Newmar.
Yeah, I was gonna say Julie.
That's all I know. I just want to yell her name.
And we were putting on, and I didn't think of this until Gary came up with it. The Batman fan film Dead End, where he meets Predator.
What?
I've never seen. I like that.
Oh wow! Are you finding out about this just now?
Yes,
I think we are.
It's actually it's one of the first early fan films. It came out somewhere around 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere in that area. But it's one of the ones that really kicked off the whole fan film craze.
Now that I'm seeing
before YouTube,
and I'm seeing some of the screenshots now, and I'm having vague flashbacks, especially this Joker. I've definitely seen some of this. It's been a long time. I've got a weird relationship with fan films. I really enjoy the Friday the 13th fan films. I'll watch any Jason fan film. I don't know why. I think it's because I don't know. I feel like anybody can make a Jason. I want to make a Jason fan film, but that's cool. That's great. We'll have to watch Dead End if we're gonna be up on this panel. I don't want to, I don't want to look like an idiot.
Well, it's only about 6 minutes, isn't it? So it's pretty easy.
In my head, I was like,
experts.
We'll
know that one for sure. That's the one that
we'll be crossing off. Please land on Dead End.
When you roll on that, make sure it's us.
Come on, Dead End.
Come on, Dead End. Dead End. What, was that Dead End? Oh, Batman Forever? Okay, I thought it said Dead End. Sorry. Keep going. Keep it going.
Our other panel this year will be how we're covering 1979 and 1999.
Ooh. 99. Armageddon.
Yep, that's on there.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I hope it's on there.
Oh.
Matrix, Fight Club. All right. Blair Witch. Yeah.
Matrix is getting its own panel.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. The Matrix deserves its own panel.
Because the Matrix anniversary has passed a couple of times, and we ended up not doing one for whatever reason. So this year we're kicking off the whole thing. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I think I always kind of forget how good the Matrix is, and maybe it is because it's a little hard for me to be nostalgic about things that happened in my, almost adulthood.
Are you sure it's not because Matrix 2 and 3 exist?
I was going to say that same thing.
Maybe it's that. It's something, but it's great. And I think Keanu Reeves is having a little bit of his own renaissance lately. And speaking of Keanu, the little Bill and Ted panel, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Cool.
There will be a Bill and Ted panel.
That's great. Man, you guys so there's some really good stuff planned for this year. I'm very excited. I was excited before. Now I'm even more excited.
For sure.
That's how it works.
You guys are putting
what I'm excited for. I don't get to be on because I'm busy on another track, but we're doing a UHF panel. Sponsored.
Oh my God.
God damn it.
Yeah, Joe?
I want to go to
You just stay in our panel room. It's really the best option.
I don't think I'm going to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
But we're doing a UHF panel at 10 p.m. on Sunday. So cancel all your plans.
Mm-hmm. Done.
And we're going to do a UHF panel. Then we're just going to watch UHF.
Oh.
Can we play Wheel of Fish?
Yes, sure. No, but it is sponsored by Spatula City.
That's great.
We have one of our fans, and we have the best fans. One of our fans has made us custom spatulas to give away at the panel.
That is amazing.
This is Sunday night. Okay, it's going into my itinerary. So.
There it goes.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that app to come out. You know what? I better get on the official DragonCon Facebook group and ask if it's updated yet. I better do
under
that.
Sock Puppet account. That's all I'm saying.
I better do that right now. I feel like that'll help. Also, any word on the Sheridan? That's the other question I have.
Official word is to keep an eye out. They are supposed to make an announcement, I think, tomorrow, and that's all we're officially allowed to say.
Yeah, they
The
kind of
15th.
told they sort of told the Grand Poobahs, the overlords, kind of just told us, be cool. Let us do the announcing.
Okay.
So
I like that.
Yeah. So who knows? But I'm sorry that people were hurt, and I believe someone died from the Legionnaire's disease. But I can't not think of the Legion of Superheroes when I hear that someone got it, and I feel bad for doing it, but there it is.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. When I first
Saturn Girl, there it is.
When I first heard about it, I heard there's Legionnaires in Atlanta. I was like, oh, good for them. I didn't know what it was.
I thought of that show Legion immediately. I'm like, there's going to be a costume. Someone will be Legionnaires.
Yeah.
No, somebody
for
has
sure.
to.
Yeah.
There's going to be some hazmat people.
There's always something controversial.
The Sheridan always has like the pinup pool party too. I wonder if people are going to be like not wanting to get into the water. I don't know. Let's skip to the next subject.
They're going to get in the water in the hazmat suit.
Dude, that's a party.
They're just
that's my
hazmat
costume.
bikini contest. I'm calling it. Somebody do it.
It's a wet hazmat contest.
Oh, I like that. You wear the bikini over the hazmat suit.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. Cool.
That's great.
There's my costume.
People are like, oh, are you guys, are you Marty and Doc from the beginning of Back to the Future? No. We're staying at the Sheridan. Oh, okay. Well, cool. So we're excited about that. And like we said earlier, we got Yes Have Some. It's going to be 1 o'clock Saturday. And then 7 o'clock Saturday night, we've got the PKE Surge Cosplay Prom. Have you guys done an event like that in the panel room before, or is this kind of a first time? Because I'm really excited about this.
This is the first time we have done such a thing. Everyone else goes, and Gary and I've talked about it many times over the years. Everyone else goes so all out on theirs that we thought, well, why compete? Just go have fun at those things. Mm-hmm. And then you guys came along with an idea, and we thought, well, I think that counts. I think that's right down our alley. So, yeah, we'll give it a shot. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and listen, we'll have some streamers up, some balloons. Like, it'll feel like a prom at like a high school that, you know, put in a little bit of effort.
Yeah, like a youth group.
Yeah, like a youth group. Only. And
we'll all hold hands and pray before.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was going to do that anyway. That's the first half of the YHS
That's
panel.
how my prom always was.
Yeah. Well, Abby, you were homeschooled. What was your prom like?
Yeah, well, a little different. Small group. No, I was homeschooled K through 8, and then I did go to high school.
Okay. Are you going to tell your life story?
Y'all want to know the rest? Yeah, private school for 2 years, public school, junior, senior. All right, continue.
Cool. Yeah. So we're gonna we'll dim the lights. We'll have a little bit of music. And we'll be in our fancy.
There's some adult beverages too. Can we talk about that or no?
Yeah, well, I got Pontoon Brewing, which is an Atlanta brewery. They've got a Ghostbusters themed beer called Something Stranger, and they're giving us a couple cases to.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, to kind of have a couple brews. You know,
like a sponsored party.
It'll be like a speakeasy.
Yeah.
It won't be like a speakeasy at all. Everybody's invited. Mm-hmm. But no,
we're not gonna have a tunnel that you can escape in.
All the booze is in the bathtub.
Bust in.
Right. People are gonna be like on the app reviewing the what was the American Sci-Fi Classics 80s prom like? Kind of like Prohibition more than anything. No, it's gonna be great. We're excited about that. We're excited to partner up with you guys, and I think it's cool. I mean. PKE Surge, like we've been involved with it for a couple of years, but it's been going on for a decade, and to have to see it in the app and to kind of have a kind of an official tie to DragonCon is very cool. So
and be able to welcome other people in, like that's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. So on behalf of all the PKE Surge people, we appreciate you guys doing that.
No, you guys are the funnest, and we like to just we love doing this. One of the things that Gary and I have found is groups of people that are willing to do geeky stuff and just need a place to land and do it. Just like we've met so many people through the podcast Earth Station 1 and the Needless Things podcast, and you guys and the YouTube channel Retro Blasting. These guys put on tremendous panels for us, and you're one of those. We ran into you guys, and now we've put you to work. So congratulations, I guess.
No, we're excited.
It's fun. We love it.
We like it.
We like it a lot.
Yeah.
And
once we put you to work and we find out that, they're actually good at this, you don't get away.
Yes.
Yeah, it gets worse from there.
I'll be looking at Jake like, where's that tunnel they talked about?
Where's the tunnel?
It's like Shawshank Redemption.
One fringe benefit of that I really had not thought about until just now, Gary. One of the fringe benefits of our track room being where it is we're right across the hall from one of the green rooms.
Yes.
And so we didn't. One of the doctors last year just hung out outside our track room.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite moments from last year, and the only way I ever got my photo with a doctor so far is Peter Capaldi apparently is a huge Planet of the Apes fan. And so he came out of the green room on his way to go to a panel, and we were putting on a Planet of the Apes panel. We had some Planet of the Apes cosplayers. His handler had gone like halfway down the hall before they turned around and realized he was not with them because he was hanging out at the door into our track room with his picture with these Planet of the Apes people. And I have a photo on my timeline of me in the background waving because I'm like, I want to get my picture with him, but I can't like throw my phone at my person working outside. I might hit the doctor.
That's so good. Yeah. And those are the moments like as we kind of get towards Dragon Con and we start getting, you deal with the stress because it's stressful and there's anxiety. And we actually broke down our favorite Dragon Con panic attacks earlier because in the moment they're no fun, hits. But looking back, oh boy, do I get nostalgic. But you can't really plan for those kind of moments. Mm-mm. Like they just happen. Like the time I saw Billy D. Williams coming out of the service elevator on a rascal, just kind of like running people over. Like it's like I'm never gonna have that moment again, but it's burned in my memory. Right. So it's exciting. You never know who's gonna pop in. Are you guys doing anything with Robert Englund, or is he kind of being wrangled by a different track?
We have one thing with him. Horror Track has him pretty much on lockdown most of the convention.
Yeah, he did something horror related. What was it, Gary?
It was something.
I think it was something about camp counselors.
He was like Jason.
Yeah. Sweet Dreams by Annie Lennox. I think he was in the video.
That's right.
There it is.
But we do have him for there. There's one panel. We have Mark Singer and Jane Badler from V, and he was on V.
Okay.
He was Willie on V. So we've got him for a 3-person V panel. I believe it's Saturday or Sunday. Very cool.
That's cool. Yep. We're big Robert Englund fans. I mean, for what it's worth, Nightmare on Elm Street, when I really sit down and think about it, might be it's either that or Halloween, all-time horror. I like the underground hits. All-time favorite. I like the underground hits. Okay?
Yeah. Dream Warriors is my favorite, so yeah.
My favorite of his is actually the Phantom of the Opera movie that he did, and I really would like to get him to sign my copy of that from Shot Factory Blu-ray I got.
Well, I'll tell you what, the VHS cover of that basically kept me out of that aisle of the Blockbuster when I was a kid. So... That's my big VHS story. I think it went over pretty well.
It was a good one, yeah.
Thank you.
That was a hit. Save it for the panel.
Thank you. Nobody scratch that. Well, guys, before we wrap up, what else would you like to talk about as far as the upcoming Dragon Con schedule, and where is the best place for people to get information as it begins to roll out officially over the next couple weeks?
Our official channel of information is we put most of our stuff, I think, on Facebook first. It's facebook.com/groups/ American Sci-Fi Classics.
I think it's actually Dragon Con American Sci-Fi Classics, but yeah.
Yeah. And so there's that, and we're on the Instagram at Sci-Fi Classic Track, but it's so much easier just to put everything on Facebook. So there you go.
Yeah. And if you're on Facebook, whenever we plug our Facebook page, and Abby usually takes the lead on that, we just tell them to go to the search bar and type in "yes, have some." It's the easiest way to get there. So
it's so much easier. Yeah.
So go to Facebook and search American Sci-Fi Classics Track at Dragon Con, and you'll get all the information you need. As far as location, it's in the Marriott, same room as last year, correct?
Yep,
Yes.
M103 to M105.
M103, and it's a big room. It's a nice size panel space. Holds a lot of. I don't know what the capacity is. I don't know. 300, 100.
I'll just
something
slap
like that.
the door of the room and say, "You can stuff so many nerds in here."
Yeah, and so it's a good sized panel space, and we really only kind of began to touch on just the sheer amount, like the volume. DragonCon Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. You guys are gonna have stuff going on all day, every day. Of the
Thursday.
Ooh.
We actually have stuff on Thursday. We have the sing-along on Thursday.
Very cool. I like singing.
Yeah,
I will be there.
I do too.
So yeah,
eventually we're just not gonna stop. We're just gonna continually have DragonCon.
Yeah, they're gonna be like,
I'm down for that. I'm
each
totally
year
with it.
a day is added until it's 365.
Yeah, and then they're gonna say, DragonCon is at the American Sci-Fi Classics track this year.
Yes,
exactly.
Well, that's great. We're very excited and we're very appreciative of getting to work with you guys, and we're excited to do some panels, and we're going to be talking about, I don't know if you guys heard, Ghostbusters 3 is happening, which is insane because that I lost the bet of that's never the official sequel is never happening in my lifetime, but it is. It is being filmed right now, so we're going to be breaking down everything we know about that, talking about that Gremlins animated series that's coming out, and we'll probably,
surprises.
Do some interaction with the audience.
Yeah, live stress.
They can tell us what they want to talk about. We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, we'll find that hole and we'll burrow to the food court. Hopefully, from the speakeasy.
It's gonna be It's going to be. We're gonna get a.
I feel like that would be the best way if there were like an underground tunnel to the food court from
perfect.
the Sci-Fi Classics panel.
Make that happen.
It would be perfect.
Let me just tell you, the secret food court last year was a revelation.
Okay, secret food court.
Where's the secret food court?
I've been there.
Oh wow!
I've been there.
Gary.
Pretty much, instead of turning left when you're leaving the Marriott to take the Habit Trail to the food court, you take a right, and then just before the tube that takes you into the Hyatt, there was last year there was that big room with like the motorcycle behind the glass.
Yeah.
If you turn right there, that's a hallway that goes to a whole other food court, but it's only open, I think, on Friday.
Ooh, Secret Friday food court.
Secret Friday food court. Cool.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was so nice. And then I went and there were a lot of people there, and I thought, son of a bitch, there's too many people in the secret food court.
Hey, Joe,
you go to the
Joe,
con suite.
that's where you stand at one of the tables and you say, "Some secret, you sons of bitches."
It's like starting Fight Club. I'm seeing a lot of new faces here. That's not
You just
the whole point is you don't tell anyone about secret food court.
Well, actually, we talked about that a little bit with the con suite. We were always under the impression that it was like a speakeasy and it was like totally under wraps, but we just noticed they actually put it in the DragonCon program. So
The big problem with the con suite is getting to it.
Yes. And the other big problem is that one scoop of popcorn doesn't always suffice. You need to get to that secret.
That's why you
food
get
court.
back in line.
Yes. You get back in line with a mustache, or you do the you get on each other's
I'm
shoulders.
I'm not sure the people working the con suite give a shit if you get back in line for more popcorn.
They do, and that's why you need to get on each other's
abuse
shoulders.
the con line.
Get on each other's shoulders with a long trench coat, and then you can get back in line.
That's the way to do it.
Well, apparently it just means you weren't going at the right time, because I would hit that thing usually about 2:30 in the morning, and they didn't care.
They didn't care at all.
It gets late, it gets fun, it gets weird.
It does get weird.
I love it.
Well, Gary, Joe, we really appreciate you stopping by, and we're very excited. We're going to link everybody to make sure that they can get all the updated information, and we will see you guys here in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, we had
thanks,
some.
guys.
Thanks for having some.
And now, a
story.
a super secret prom story from Joe Crowe.
My junior prom, my date almost died.
Oh,
What?
Whoa.
Sorry. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So, high school, Clanton, Alabama. My date was a lovely girl who we were buddies. She had moved out of town, but we kept in touch. She all of our classmates were going to the prom, so she wanted to come too. So we went. It was not only junior prom; it was also my first date with another female human.
Okay.
And so we go to the prom, all is well, seemingly, until she begins speaking to classmates of ours who are not there, who are on the other side of the room. And then she visits the bathroom and stays for 45 minutes.
Oh, no.
People come out of the bathroom going, Joe, what is wrong with her? And I go, I do not know. So they say she's not well. She is she wakes up, she passes out, she's chattering. So I don't know what's happened to this poor woman. And again, first date. So
at that point you're like, I guess dating's just weird.
I guess it's tough.
Yeah, I thought, okay, this is what happens on dates. So she excuse me, she exits the bathroom, and I make the executive decision to let's go home. And so I leave the prom with this girl, and I take her back to the safety of her parents. And because I'm 16, I don't know things. I don't know how to do anything. And I find out a few days after prom, friends of friends, they tell me she's okay, but they ask you don't call.
Okay.
So they tell me she's fine, but they said don't call her. So I didn't. And like I said, that they said she's all right. So fast forward, a couple of years, I'm in college, and it turns out I'm in class with someone who went to high school with this girl, and she said they say, oh yeah, she went to Chilton County High School, and she went to the prom with some dude and almost died. And I went, I was that dude. That was me. So at her high school, I was an urban legend.
The guy almost killed her.
I almost killed her. So fast forward another couple of years, and I was at a wedding of mutual friends that we went to high school with. And they say, hey, she's still alive, and I have her phone number. So I go, okay, I'm going to call this woman.
Finally.
It's time to call her.
Time to call.
And she is doing fine now. She tells me the story. She says, well, everything was fine, Joe, after I learned how to walk and speak again.
Whoa.
What did you do?
She had some kind of bacteria that the doctors had not identified.
Oh my God.
This is insane.
That's insane. What a crazy first date.
First date. And so she goes, oh no, I'm great now. And and we had a long conversation. Everything's fine. We're Facebook pals now. She's married. She has kids. In fact, her husband and kids came to some of my panels last year. And so, but
that is insane.
That's the happy ending. But it colored my dating life, I'll say.
Yeah, I imagine.
I mean, it kind of makes every date like you're comparing it to like, well, how we went out? How was it? Well,
she's alive.
She's alive, which is good. That's like I'm 2 for 2.
There were no bacteria involved.
That is so crazy.
No.
I thought you were going to say that somebody poured pig's blood on her and the whole thing went up in flames.
That might have happened. And of course, the rumors, and they were like, Joe, what did you do to her? And I was like, seriously, I'm king of the nerds. What could I have done to this woman? What did I do? Give her a pocket protector? What could I have done?
I did her homework for her. She almost died.
She almost died because I did her algebra homework.
Wow.
I'm glad she's okay. I'm glad you're okay.
I'm glad she's okay, and I can't say that we'll have anything nearly that exciting happening at the PKE Surge prom, but we can cross our fingers and hope
try. We'll try.
Yeah, we'll give it the old college gung ho try. All
well,
right.
I mean, we already have. There's Legionnaire's disease in the hotel right next door, so I don't know.
Dude, could be a repeat. Let's see. Be careful.
Yes. You find out that actually that's how this all comes around. She is patient zero of Legionnaires. God,
it was all her plan of revenge against Joe.
She's been planning it for 30 years. Yeah.
I like it.
It's like some Kill Bill shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Kill Joe.
Let's do this.
Hey, somebody Photoshop a Kill Joe poster.
Get Molly Ringwald. I'm seeing it happen.
There you go.
Cool.
All right, everybody. That was your bonus story.
Yeah. Bonus.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. Be safe out there, guys.
Thank you, guys.